there. At the same time, U.S. stocks, they started tumbling just as soon as the markets opened. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment. The White House is there because the White House is kind of the key to all of this. We know that the U.S. and Israel got together a week ago and launched Operation Epic Fury. It has targeted many spots in the Middle East. Because of that, the price per barrel for crude oil is now at $119. I'll say it again, $119 a barrel. That's the highest it's been since 2022. The spike came as the conflict spurred the crude producing industries, or countries rather, to cut the output. So we're going to be talking a lot about that throughout the hour. And again, the White House is there because that is one of the things that they knew was going to happen. They predicted it, and they did say it's a casualty of war. The other thing that we're looking at right now, that's a live picture in Washington, D.C. This is a pretty cool situation. Freedom 250. It's going to be a Grand Prix race. So you see underneath that tarp there, it's a new NTT IndyCar series. It will be a street race. It's scheduled for late August, August 21st to the 23rd this summer. So yeah, as we have so much happening in Philadelphia, DC's got a lot going on too. And it's the first for the nation's capital. So basically high-speed racing will be going through the National Mall. And again, this too is part of the celebration for America's 250th anniversary. The reason why I have a live camera there is, as you can see, there are some officials that are kind of setting up near a podium. We're waiting for the press conference on that to begin. So again, that is going to be Freedom 250 Grand Prix. That's what they're calling it. I think we're going to get to see the course itself and some other things. So it will be interesting to see what they have to say, where it will be. If you've been to Washington, D.C., if you've been around the National Mall, you know sometimes it's hard to even walk across the street because of restrictions. As camera people, many times they won't allow us to put up a tripod because it's a federal park, and that is not allowed in most federal parks. So again, we're going to be interested to hear what exactly they're going to say, how it's going to work. We're assuming that there will be some kind of ticketing that you have to purchase. Like in some of these street races we've seen before, they set up scaffolding that turn into seats so that you can see everything that you need to see. All right, the other thing that we're talking about, your weather, baby. Yes, we are talking about your weather because this is what we have waited for as we have been in our sweaters and sweatshirts. Today is, I think, the pick of the day. I'm not sure what the Fox 29 weather department had to say about that, but I mean, sunny, mild, a high of 73. If you guys are working from home right now, because some of you are when you watch us in this platform, make sure that when you get yourself a break, you take it outside. Tomorrow, a little bit hotter, AM fog, but still looking awesome. We actually look great Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then a little chance of a shower. We see cloudy, a bit colder. Saturday, Sunday looks okay. The big issue there right there on Sunday, cloudy skies and 54 and the low of 39. That is when the Philadelphia St. Patrick's Day Parade is going to happen. It happens right here on Fox 29. So you'll be able to see that in some of our streaming shows. I believe it's Sunday, right? It's not Saturday. It's Sunday. Yeah. Okay. I love when they correct me because I need correcting. So yeah, let's now go back to your money where the news is not good. This all started right as the markets opened this morning. If you were watching Good Day, you know that they talked a lot about it. Last week, we were speaking with several different financial analysts, and they all said if the crude oil prices got to $100 a barrel, the market wouldn't be able to sustain it. It would really wreck the markets. It would be, their words, a disaster for many investors. And now we know, late Sunday, $119 a barrel. Again, we have not seen that price since 2022. Basically, we know that the Iraqi output is reported to have plunged about 70%. So we're going to talk about that throughout the hour, the 2 hours we're here till 2. So again, we're going to go back to Washington, D.C., and hear more about their Grand Prix.
Show car that will be traveling around Washington, D.C. and the region for the next few months. And I'd like to have Ambassador Crowley, Secretary Duffy, Secretary Burgum, and Mayor Bowser come up and do the honors to unveil our Freedom 250 Indy car. Please. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go! What do you think, Secretary? Check to see if the keys are in it. The keys are not in it. I understand Mr. Duffy wants to get inside of it later on.
That was Burgum.
Oh, Burgum wants to get inside of it later on. But, so you'll be seeing a lot of that. In fact, the Monumental Sports folks have been gracious enough to have that being in their building for the next few months, so you'll be seeing a lot of it at the sporting events as well. So
No keys, but there is a steering wheel.
there's a steering wheel. There you go. Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you for unveiling it. Now we'll get on to the remarks here. Thank you, Ambassador. You know what? There's a lot of people to thank, as I mentioned, that have come to the table to allow us to have the event. It's pretty unconventional to have an idea like this, right, to come to our national city to put on a sporting event as someone's never seen. But I also have to thank our President, Donald J. Trump. He was the one that provided us the executive order to have the event. Originally, our idea was to have the race across the city, across these streets, and that didn't go about happening. So we brought it to the city. I want to thank Secretary Burgum for allowing us to be on his property here, the National Mall, to allow these racers to come to here. I want to thank the mayor and her team who have made this possible as well, too. A couple things. This will be a 501c3 structure. Why is that important? We're taking no profit off this event. 501c3, number one. And importantly, and most importantly, all the fans that come to see our event can come here for free. Let me say that again, can come here for free to see this event. And Madam Mayor, the proceeds we have left over from the event, we plan to donate to local DC charities. So that's a big part of our mission as well. You know, I mentioned the man that was responsible for the ideation of this. That's Eric Shanks. And Eric Shanks is the CEO and executive producer for Fox Sports. He's the type of person who sees opportunities when other people see challenges. He sees the vision for these events. He sees what happens at any sporting event. And by the way, Fox Sports has all the World Cup events through the course of this summer. And imagine them premiering those, our event in advance of their events throughout the course of this summer. Eric takes things to a higher level. And with his vision, his ingenuity, we're going to take this event to the greatest level. So I'm proud to introduce, please, and have him bring up here Eric Shanks, CEO of Fox Sports. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Bud. Are you available for my obituary? That would be absolutely amazing. I have a few thank yous, and then I'm going to get to a video. But on behalf of Fox Sports, it really is an honor to stand here as we prepare to bring the world's fastest sport to the heart of the world's most powerful city. And as Bud said, a project of this magnitude has to have vision from the very top. And we're here today because of President Trump's executive order, which literally paved the way for this race to become a cornerstone of our national celebration. We want to thank the administration for recognizing that there is no better way to celebrate America 250 than by showcasing American speed and ingenuity on the streets of our capital. And as Bud said, I also want to extend our sincere thanks to Secretary Duffy, Secretary Burgum, Secretary Duffy's vision for American infrastructure, and Doug, your focus on American innovation and energy is exactly what IndyCar represents. And to Mayor Bowser, thank you for your partnership in turning the streets of this district into a world-class arena. And you guys have a great view this way. We have a great view that way as well. So for everybody that's going to be here, no matter which way you look, this is going to be the most distinctly American sporting event that we've ever had. But we're not just here to announce a race, we're here to celebrate a milestone. As our nation marks America 250, this race serves as a tribute to 2.5 centuries of American grit, ingenuity, and the relentless drive to move forward. And if you think about it, this is the most apropos sporting event we could ever have, because before we had bats, before we had balls, before we had hoops, the original sport was just who's the fastest. It is the first sport known to man. And as we program the entire weekend, around August 22nd, there's going to be a lot of different racing events out here. And Secretary Duffy, I'm here to propose a cabinet foot race. Sean, who would be the fastest in the cabinet if you had to choose?
Maybe Bobby Kennedy?
Bobby Kennedy might be fastest. Okay. Well, we're going to see.
Scotty Turner.
Scotty Turner. Okay, so it's going to be a good race.
NFL guy.
The odds are probably like 3-1 Bobby, right? Okay, that's going to be absolute fun. So you can tell we take our role as a storyteller of this era very seriously. We wanted to see what happens when you pair the historic backdrop of our capital with the cutting-edge future of IndyCar. And to get to it, we want to show you what we built. The amazing AI team at Fox Sports rendered a first look of this course in action. It's more than a simulation. It's an actual preview of the energy that's soon going to take over the streets. So please direct your attention to the screens, and we'll take a look. Thank you.
The fans have turned up in a huge way this weekend.
And it's quite simple. History.
We're in it to win it, bud. 10-4. 3, 2, 1.
And you can hear the crowd.
History in the mission.
Changes the game totally.
How about that, huh? Who's ready to go racing?
All right, again, that video was made by the AI team in Philadelphia. We call that our graphics department, but very cool. Looks like it's going to be right here on Fox 29. And again, it's a street race that will happen in Washington, D.C., near the Capitol, near the mall, all in a celebration of America 250. Listen, we've got 2 minutes. We're going to take a quick break. We are going to New York City, where there is a terrorist investigation with a Bucks County hook. We're going to talk about it in 2 minutes. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. We've been talking about this for the better part of a day. In New York City, there was ISIS-related terrorism, or at least it's being investigated, as explosives were thrown at the New York City mayor's residence. That's Gracie Mansion. And believe it or not, there is a Bucks County and Philadelphia connection to all of it. CB Cotton is in New York for us. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. So right off the top, I want to tell you what I'm hearing from my federal sources who say they're looking into whether the two suspects, Ibrahim Qayyumi and Amir Balat, became self-radicalized. I'm told that both men talked about watching ISIS videos once they were taken into custody, and now the FBI is looking into their overseas travel to Turkey and potentially other spots known for terror training. Both men are expected to face federal charges in this case, which, as you mentioned, all started Saturday afternoon when police say there were dueling protests, and they say these two men came as part of a counter protest, and that's when they alleged that these two suspects threw homemade bombs that Saturday afternoon, causing quite a scene, causing a lot of confusion and terror here right outside a Gracie Mansion. Thankfully, those bombs did not detonate, but this morning the NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani says that these were devices that could have maimed or killed someone. So thankfully, they did not detonate. I also want to talk about the background of the two suspects. We have learned, as you mentioned, that there is that Pennsylvania connection. Ibrahim Qayyumi is from New Township, Pennsylvania, and Amir Balat is from Langhorne, Pennsylvania. We know last night members of the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force were searching both of the men's home. I'm also told other people were taken into custody for further questioning. The key detail there, taken into custody, not arrested. But it is very alarming to learn and hear from the mayor himself say that both of these men traveled from Pennsylvania to New York City on Saturday to carry out this act of terrorism. Our colleague, Fox News colleague Bill Malushin, has also learned some background details about both of the suspects' parents. We're told that Amir Balat's parents are from Turkey and became naturalized U.S. citizens in 2017. We've also been told that Ibrahim's parents are from Afghanistan, and his mother was naturalized as a U.S. citizen in 2009, and his father was naturalized in 2004. So some key details that we're learning about both of these men, Ibrahim Qayyumi and Amir Balat. But the big takeaway for the viewers watching this broadcast is that there is a Pennsylvania connection. And right now, we learned just this morning from New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani that both of these men traveled from Bucks County, Pennsylvania to New York City to carry out what investigators say was an act of terrorism. The NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch says she expects the criminal complaint against both men to be released this afternoon, and that is when we should learn more about this despicable crime that could have been much worse here outside Gracie Mansion on Saturday afternoon. Again, it all unfolded when police say there was an initial protest planned here by far-right provocateur Jake Lang. It was an anti-Muslim protest, and police say these two men showed up as counter-protesters, and that's when they allege that they handled and ignited these homemade explosives. The big takeaway for viewers, that Pennsylvania connection, with authorities saying these two suspects, around 18, 19 years old, traveled from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, here to New York City to carry out this crime.
Real quick, do we know if the mayor and his family were inside Gracie Mansion when this happened? Like, were they home?
This morning, Mayor Mamdani said he and his wife were not home at the time the initial protest took place. He said they were aware of that initial anti-Muslim protest for about a week, and they were getting updates from the police leading up to the protest. And once the protest took place and protesters arrived, he said all the while he was being briefed by members of law enforcement about what was happening. Thankfully, he was not home, and thankfully the people people who did show up here around Gracie Mansion on Saturday afternoon were not hurt. Those bombs did not detonate, but as we've heard from the commissioner, the explosives contained screws, nuts, and bolts, and a powerful explosive called TATP, which has been used, according to law enforcement experts, and other terrorist attacks around the globe. So there was, deadly components to these homemade bombs, and you hate to think about the kind of devastation and loss of life that could have taken place had they detonated.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the intelligence and the reporting, CB Cotton, for us from New York. Again, we appreciate the help. Good afternoon. All right, so yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. We have local reporters that are in Bucks County. We're going to hear from them. Remember, we're here with you guys now until 2 p.m. every day. I do believe we do have the president of France. Am I right? I am wrong. We are going to go back to Washington, D.C., where they are talking about this really cool car race that's going to happen. We're going to dip in.
Very, very young at the time, but I do remember not the details of that celebration. I don't remember where President Ford was that day or what he said, but I do remember being at the New Jersey seashore with my parents and my sister and having a small American flag in one hand and a sparkler in the other. And I remember the entire community on Long Beach Island came out, the entire country came out to celebrate. So while we may not remember exactly what happened that day, we all remember how we felt. It was an indelible sense of patriotism and freedom. What a gift it is to be able to share that indelible sense of American patriotic spirit, American exceptionalism, with the next generations from sea to shining sea. We seek at Freedom 250 to recreate that feeling for every American, and in particular, every child. This race is going to be a critical part of that. So I want to thank all of our partners, our Fox Sports broadcast partners, the City of Washington, the mayor, everybody who's so deeply involved in making this unprecedented event a success, because it is going to be a vital part of relaying that feeling of America's exceptionalism to all of us and to every future generation. Thank you so much. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Before I ask Secretary Burgum to come up here, United States Secretary of Interior, I just stand here and look at the Washington Monument in front of me, Secretary. I mean, how blessed are we, right, with what you provided us here, your rangers, your National Park Police every day, to keep this place the sanctity we have to look at. A lot of us take it for granted, don't we? We should never take this for granted, what we have here in front of us. But this milestone would not be possible without two things, without the people that's speaking here today, and that's great leadership and also great teamwork. Secretary Burgum, your team, at your senior level, to your rangers and everybody, have been our partners in this journey for the last 6 months, and I can't thank you enough. Secretary Burgum exemplifies leadership. He exemplifies the teamwork that has to take place to have these kind of events happen, and I couldn't be more appreciative of that. Let's give the Secretary a warm welcome here. Secretary of Interior, Doug Burgum, United States Secretary, for all your help. Thank you, sir.
Very nice, thank you. Well, thank you, Bud, for the great introduction. Thank you, Ambassador Crawley, for kicking it off and all the great work you do across so many events, including all these Freedom 250. Today is, as a kickoff, it's a day of celebration. And when you have a day of celebration, there's a lot of gratitude to spread around. I want to just start again, as Bud did with President Trump. We talk about speed of racing. This idea had been kicked around for a long time. My understanding is that there was maybe 80 or more meetings. This is the city of red tape. Bud couldn't get to yes. The idea got elevated to the White House. President Trump got involved. He called Sean and I it was a Saturday. On Thursday, 5 days later, we were standing with Roger Penske, with Bud, with Eric from Fox, the whole team in the Oval Office with an executive order signed saying we got to get going on this thing if it's going to happen, if it's going to materialize. So again, grateful that we've got a leader that knows how to take action and get things done. And then here we are today with this fantastic kickoff. And so again, part of this gratitude, again, Bud, your leadership in helping to bring this extraordinary vision alive, and of course with Roger and everybody at Team Penske. Wouldn't have happened without some other key partners. Because it's Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy, you're going to hear from him, Mayor Bowser for the district support, because this course itself is crossing, federal streets, federal intersections, back to DC Metro and back again, back and forth. I mean, this is an example for the whole country about how federal, local, large metros and the private sector can all work together. And of course, again, grateful for, we got Ted here from Monumental Sports. I mean, and Ted, he's going to be speaking in a minute. He's been a friend of mine for 40 years, but what he brings, the joy he brings to the city with the Caps, the Wizards, the Mystics, and so much more. So grateful to have he and the private sector involved in this. And of course, you're going to hear from Eric today, and you're going to hear from Joseph, who just won an IndyCar race 48 hours ago, coming here talking about how we're going to bring world-class racing. But great to have Joseph here as well. Anyway, it's exciting to stand alongside all of these heroes in part of what we call America's front yard. And I want to, as Bud was saying, I want to say thanks to the National Park Service, who's responsible for the mall. National Park Service is going to be deeply involved in opening up all these spaces for the visitors. As Bud said, free. This is a free. Nobody's ever probably got a chance in their lifetime before to go to a race of this caliber and attend for free, and we expect that there could be 1 million plus people that are going to be here over those multiple days of racing. There's going to be giant screens set up and down the mall. It's going to be a fantastic family event. It is going to be and it wouldn't happen without the Park Service, but also a separate organization, the United States Park Police, the oldest police force in America from a federal standpoint, created by George Washington in 1791. They've got the historic responsibility of taking care of our most iconic images of democracy, whether it's the Statue of Liberty, Golden Gate Recreation, or here in the Washington, D.C., our capital, and they're doing a fantastic job. But for those 250 years, it's nearly been that long. Maybe a little shorter, because it wasn't, Washington didn't start out always as being the capital. That was a deal that got cut in a decade or so into our history. But when DC became the capital, the National Mall, this original plan that was laid out, it's been the stage in which America tells its story, and it's the place where we as Americans, where we gather, it's where we honor our heroes, and it's where we celebrate our milestones like the 250th. And today, what we're here as part of this group unveiling something that's never happened before in the history in 250 years. There's never been an auto race on the National Mall. And so this Freedom 250, this Grand Prix IndyCar race right here, it's definitely more than just a sporting event. It's truly a celebration of American independence, and it's a tribute to the innovation, the boldness, and the determination that define this country. When we think about America's 250 years, it's really hard to think about anything that's more American than cars. It's long been said Americans have always had a love affair with their cars, and this has been the center of innovation in a major industry. But now, for the first time, that story is going to be written right here on a route that includes 3 of the most famous avenues in America. Think of it. Cars racing at speeds close to 200 miles an hour down Pennsylvania Avenue, Constitution Avenue, and Independence Avenue. What a thrill. Americans are going to see something that's remarkable, and it's going to be the fusion, as Bud talks about, these iconic symbols of democracy, that heritage that we have, a fusion of that heritage with the latest in American innovation. So it's a combination of both history and horsepower that's going to be happening.
Okay, so once again, this is Freedom 250. It's a Grand Prix race that's going to happen in Washington, D.C., and you heard him. It'll happen right here on Fox. It's the first time they've ever done it. Again, it will be a street race. So we're kind of listening to some of the logistics there. At the same time, we do know that the President of France, President Macron, is on the Charles de Gaulle Air Force carrier. He is speaking in French, but we're going to listen in just real quickly so you can get a taste of it, because it's happening live, so we want you to see it.
Ce que nous avons plusieurs fois fait ces dernières années est de préserver cette liberté de navigation dans le cadre en particulier de la mission Aspides, et de concevoir aussi une mission ad hoc au moment voulu, elle aussi pleinement défensive, pour pouvoir restaurer, quand les conditions seront permises, la circulation et l'ouverture calibrée dans les détroits d'Ormuz. Mission qui nous est familière et qu'on a pu accomplir avec d'autres il y a maintenant quelques décennies. Voilà le cadre, si je puis dire, dans lequel nous nous inscrivons. La France est là pour protéger les siens, pour être aux côtés de ses alliés et de ses amis qui sont frappés, et pour pouvoir participer à des missions ô combien essentielles de liberté.
So again, this is the president of France, President Macron. He's at the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier. And just so you know, this is a flagship. It's a flagship ship within the French Navy. You see this Marine Nationale. It was commissioned in 2001. Here is why we are probably looking at this. Remember, we're getting live feeds from across the country. This is the only nuclear-powered aircraft carrier built outside of the United States. So it often operates alongside U.S. forces and supports allied operations, but it was entirely French built. It uses nuclear propulsion. Remember, aircraft carriers are such an elite part of any naval operation because they support aircraft, obviously, but they can house a bunch of people in the middle of an ocean so they can rotate those crews. Again, naval aviators, people that are working on international strategy often say aircraft carriers are one of the #1 things they use to protect countries and to fight wars. So again, this is the French president talking to the French Navy right there. It's just one of the things we're looking at because, as you know, we are in the middle of a conflict with Iran. So we are going to be looking at things all around the world. We've got 2 minutes. We're going to be right back. There was a state trooper that was killed in the line of duty over the weekend. We've got that story and so much more for you. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. Those are 4 live cameras. I'm going to tell you exactly what they are. I want you to know we're looking at these as we wait to speak with one of our reporters about the Pennsylvania state trooper that was shot and killed in Chester County. It happened last night. We're going to talk about it in just a few minutes. But again, so the wobbly camera there, top left with the live, we call it a bug. It says the word live. That is the president of France. He's on an aircraft carrier talking to their Navy. Why? It's one of the only nuclear-based ships that was built outside of the United States. It was commissioned in 2001. It's the only nuclear-powered aircraft carrier built outside the U.S. But this ship the Charles de Gaulle does often operate alongside U.S. forces and supports Allied operations. It's entirely French built. They're really proud of that. That's probably why the president of France is there. And again, we're watching your money. We've been watching it since early this morning. As you know, with the conflict in the Middle East, this was expected. No one wants it. And again, it looks like our live camera from France went down. The reason why we have the White House up in a live feed is the administration is kind of at the center of all of this. And then again, we've been dipping into some coverage in Washington, D.C. Again, you see that gentleman at the podium there. Freedom 250 is going to be a car race. It'll be a street race. It's going to happen in late August as part of the America 250 celebration. It will be the first time in 250 years that any kind of thing like that has happened. So as I mentioned, we have been talking about this all day. Pennsylvania State Trooper Corporal Tim O'Connor was killed in action. It was a car stop that happened, and Jenny Joyce is on that story. Just unbelievable.
It is so incredibly sad, Jen. So we are out here. We actually just got here a couple of minutes ago. This is the scene. This is right off of Route 10 and Michael Road here in Westcon Township. This is where we are hearing Trooper Corporal Tim O'Connor lost his life. He had been with Pennsylvania State Police since September of 2010. So he just had his 15th year with the Pennsylvania State Police. He is now the 105th member of PSP to give the ultimate sacrifice. We understand he leaves behind a wife, a young daughter. This all happened last night. I don't know if we can put up some video of the scene. Last night, just before 8:30, he was handling a traffic stop for an erratic driver. And when he pulled over this driver, we are told the person in that driver's seat opened fire within seconds, shooting and killing Trooper O'Connor. The name of that shooter ago, we are hearing that his name is 32-year-old Jesse Nathan Elks of Honeybrook. We are looking to find out more about him as we continue to dig into this story. We know that the Chester County DA's office and PSP are leading this investigation. We had a crew over at the local PSP barracks all morning where people were coming by, stopping by, dropping off flowers. Everyone in this area, everyone in Pennsylvania, all of our viewers are just really taken, of course, to hear of this young man. He was 40 years old, this Pennsylvania State Police corporal, losing his life in the battle.
And Jenny, you're going in and out, so I hope I can get this question in. The actor is accused of killing the corporal and then killing himself right there on the scene?
Exactly, yes. So we believe that he was in his car, he opened fire, and then he gets out of his car, walks a short distance, and turns the gun on himself.
Ugh, all right. Okay, thank you. And like you said, everyone and anyone that's hearing about this is just super sad, very disappointed. It's just, especially when you hear about that young baby. Again, we're going to dip in real quickly to Washington, D.C. They're talking about a really cool road rally that's going to happen in late August. We're just going to listen in.
Please give them both a round of applause. When Secretary Burgum was talking about fountains, that was me clapping. We are so excited that the Secretary has really taken as his charge all of the federal parks and spaces in Washington, D.C., and truly giving them the attention that they deserve. And Secretary Duffy and I usually aren't talking about speeding on D.C. streets, but today we're talking about speeding on D.C. streets, and that's because we are delighted to bring IndyCar to Washington, D.C. And we are very excited to be celebrating American semi-quincentennial in Washington, D.C. So there will be so many events. We have a local commission that is working with the national commissions to make sure that all Americans know that coming to their nation's capital to celebrate America's 250 will be a great time. We are the sports capital. Very frequently, people only think of us for our monuments and memorials, and we want you to think.
So there you see the Washington mayor saying they want to be known as a sports town and not a historical town. Philadelphia is the sports town, with all respect, Mayor. The other thing that's happening in and around the United States, you know, here we've had such a bitter, cold winter. It's been cold in a lot of places. We got more snow than we typically get, but the precipitation has not been everywhere. In Florida, they are facing a historic drought. Amy Gallo is there talking about that. Good afternoon to you. Amy, can you hear me? Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Biggest drought they've had in 25 years. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. I think we have a picture of Lincoln Financial Field. If we don't, here's what I need to tell you. In the words of my 20-year-old son studying abroad in Barcelona, Jalen Phillips got the bag. That's what they say. He got the bag. Looks like 4 years, 120 for him to go to the Panthers. You know, he was with us for 1 year. He came from Miami. And, you know, his locker room spirit was big. His performance was big. You're happy for his family, but not really happy that 4 years, 120. He was one of the free agents that I think a lot of the Philadelphia fans, the Eagles fans, were hoping to keep. Again, he's getting paid. He worked hard, seemingly just a great guy. But now we can't like him because we're Eagles fans. So we have to stay with us. All right, so there you go. That's why we're showing that right there. Okay, so at the same time, we're talking about weather all around the country. Florida this time of year is a place where people want to go. Big spring break destination. But this year they're having a historic drought. Amy Gallo is in Fort Meade for us, and I asked in the commercial break, where the heck are you? And you said middle of nowhere, just south of Orlando. So not somewhere people are going to go for spring break, but it's an important place to tell the story.
Listen, it's beautiful. I mean, if you want to come here, right, why not? But no, this is not a place you would go for spring break. It is middle of farmland. It's one of the citrus capitals, really, of the nation. This is where, right behind me, you see a bunch of citrus growing, and this is where farmers are dealing with a lot of dry conditions, a historic drought that is leading them to have to water their crops more. And because of that, the cost of irrigation is going through the roof, and that's a problem for the citrus industry, which is already dealing with the financial effects of things like citrus greening disease and, of course, the recent hurricanes. Florida citrus is more than just a tasty snack.
It's definitely a lifeline to a lot of Floridians here. It's what they depend on.
But Mother Nature has been anything but dependable lately.
The hurricanes, the disease, and now drought.
Back in 2000, Florida's citrus industry covered around 900,000 acres. Now it's down to just over 200,000, according to the USDA.
It's farming with all the challenges that you have, but we're looking for a break right now.
Unfortunately, that break might not be coming anytime soon because 100% of Florida is in a drought, the state's worst dry spell in 25 years.
It's been challenging over the last year. During the bloom period, water is critical. It determines how well the fruit sizes and ultimately how large your crop will be.
Inside these white tents, Dundee Citrus has created a safe haven. Originally installed to prevent disease in plants, they're now also helping to manage soil moisture.
Everything is pumped through a series of pipes into this black tubing, and it's every tree has a very small emitter that puts out an amount of water.
It creates the perfect environment for growing healthy crops, even in these historically dry conditions.
This 10-acre pod will produce between 8,000 and 10,000 boxes per pod. The trees in this environment, they're happy. They grow faster than trees do in traditional outdoor groves, and they come into production quicker. So it's one way that we can really get the industry back on track.
So you're probably wondering, will this affect prices at the store? According to the CEO of Dundee Citrus, we can't really predict what's going to happen next season. But as for this season, right now, prices do seem pretty stable for Florida citrus. So that is one positive here, at least we're not having to pay another penny for our delicious Florida crops. Jen?
Absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate the help. And thanks for explaining it. Makes a lot of sense when you see the visuals. We appreciate the help today.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we are looking at your money. So if you want to go back to the stocks, we've been talking about this since the markets opened. It's been a bit up and down, I should say, up and down within the red, right? So it's been bad all day. The question is how bad? The reason why, and again, no one is surprised to see these numbers, is the conflict in the Middle East. We know that the markets hate it when there is, instability in the geopolitical landscape. We've heard that time and time again. And then if you put on top of that an oil price of $119 a barrel, a price we haven't seen since 2022, you know why that number on your screen that we're looking at live looks like that. Last week, it inched closer to that number. It was 60 and then it was 70. When it got to 80, the reporting coming out of Wall Street was like the market could not bear a $100 a barrel price tag. And now we're seeing it, $119 a barrel, $119. The Iraqi output, basically the production reported to have plunged about 70%. We do know this. Ministers from the G7 top economies are expected to meet today to discuss a possible joint release of petroleum from the International Energy Agency reserves. So apparently the U.S. and two other countries like the move. That kind of like made investors feel better yesterday because they were very upset. Investors were upset with Trump's suggestions that high prices were, quote, his words, a very small price to pay for security. So when he said that yesterday, investors got a little bit nervous. And then again, this is one of the reasons why the G7 is expected to meet today. They're expected to call on those reserves. Again, so far, we only know the United States and two other unspecified countries are a fan of that plan. We're going to take a quick break, 2 minutes, come right back. We have a lot going on, a lot to tell you about. Some of it's complicated. All of it impacts you. We'll be right back. Welcome back in, everybody. We just wanted to give you an image of who we were talking about earlier. This is Corporal Tim O'Connor. The governor and the state police announced jointly that he passed away from his injuries. Flags will be flying at half staff. So again, generally everyone's like keeping him and his family in their prayers. Basically, it happened at a traffic stop, and then he was taken to Paoli Hospital, where his wife Casey, his parents Maureen and Tim were there. But again, the governor saying obviously he mourns for him. There will be obviously a full investigation. The person accused of shooting him during this traffic stop apparently killed himself moments later. So it's one of the stories that we're covering today. Basically, it happened in Chester County, came out of nowhere, and as you can only imagine, everyone there just, trying to figure out exactly what happened. At the same time, that's Chester County. We're moving on to Bucks County, where the FBI conducted raids, all connected to what happened at that New York City protest. We talked about it at the top of the hour. Now we have Shayna there. Good afternoon to you. What's the latest in all of this?
Hey, good afternoon, Jen. Yeah, we're really trying to get down to the bottom of exactly what took place and really getting a sense of the neighborhood. We're actually in Bucks County, in Newtown, where one of the suspected bomb throwers, if you will, at that protest in New York City lives. I'll flip the camera around. This is the home here of 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi, and this is I'll kind of pan this way. This is a pretty upper middle class suburban affluent neighborhood, if you will. It's a very new development. A lot of these neighbors know each other and raise their kids together. A lot of the kids here go to the same schools. So this is a pretty great neighborhood by all American standards, right? But this is the center of where that raid took place just yesterday, that we understand here. This home, this again from that young man that is believed, along with his friend Amir Balat, who is also from Bucks County, both of them going to New York City allegedly to take what officials are deeming ISIS potential related behavior by throwing these man-made bombs, if you will, or trying to detonate them. And so we've had a lot of concern. We've had a lot of worry from neighbors here that were here when the raid took place. Many of them not wanting to go on camera. It's very difficult to speak to neighbors here because of the nature of the situation, right? We're not talking about a missing dog here or a missing child. We're talking about potential, terror activity. And so there's a lot of fear and concern. So the little that I've been able to gather at this point is that it really remains a shock to the neighborhood that, this took place. Yesterday was a beautiful day. The raid took place yesterday afternoon. Kids were outside playing. And so you had a lot of parents, reining the kids in, trying to explain to them what was going on. And then when they found kind of like the headlines started flowing in of what took place, it became very obvious that they had to explain it. The school district apparently putting something out to parents as well, letting them know that there is no immediate threat to the school community. So the school district has been very communicative with the parents here as well. And so we're just kind of out here getting a sense of the neighborhood at this point. But yet not a whole lot to go off of just based off of the neighborhood. So we're hoping after this hit, we're going to ride over to Langhorne, which is also where the second suspected person that's also in custody lives, and kind of get a sense of what's going on over there. So as we learn more, of course, we'll be updating in the later shows. Jen?
All right. Yeah, you're right. It's hard to say, hey, did you know your neighbor is now a suspected terrorist? The FBI was there. Not the easiest assignment, but we appreciate you doing your best to try and get some information on this big story that's happening nationally, but with obviously our local connections. Thank you, Shayna. We appreciate it. All right, the other thing that we are talking about at this hour, we just heard that Jalen Phillips is headed over to the Panthers. He got a big contract. He was with us for a year. That's a live picture of Lincoln Financial Field. Rob Motti, who you may know as an NFL senior writer, has some insight on it. He says, quote, Eagles can pivot to Bradley Chubb or another edge for less than $30 million. Jalen Phillips, the deal is perceived to be a good one for him. The other thing that some of the senior writers are saying that potentially Jalix Hunt could slide in, be a starter, and then they could now extend Jalen Carter because remember, Jordan Davis got a big contract. So many people were saying, where does that leave some of our other free agents? So we're going to talk about it. Obviously, it's right now is beginning what we call the tampering basically time. It's when football teams can talk to players, but really the big trade moves will start Wednesday in the later part of this week. So again, what does this mean? A lot of people initially very disappointed to hear that Jalen Phillips went to the Panthers, 4 years, $120 million. It's a big contract, but you got to wonder where the pieces will now slide. We know that there is I would say colloquialism, Howie season. Howie Roseman is known as one of the best guys in the league for moving players, getting guys in and out for one season on a deal that is good for financially and good for the team. So we'll have to see where all of this is going. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. We've got a lot going on, including a press conference at the top of the hour. Stick around. We're glad you're here. All right, welcome back in, everybody. That is a live camera of New York City. Why? Because we're now learning that there are charges that are being filed. Remember, we spoke about this just a while ago. Basically, explosives were thrown near New York City's mayor's residence. They call that Gracie Manor. And there are some guys from our area that have been connected to all of this. Basically, two gentlemen from the Bucks County area were accused of throwing, by prosecutors, homemade bombs. They were basically doing an anti-protest protest. And so now we're just seeing there is a court in New York City that has formally charged them. So the complaint is just out. It's wordy, but it definitely says Amir Bailat and Ibrahim Kayoumi are defendants. And the first thing they're being charged with, there's, I believe, 7 charges total: knowingly attempting to provide material support or resources. Remember, they do believe that they are part of ISIS, and that is part of the complaint. They basically say that they were giving services to a foreign terrorist organization. The charges come from the U.S. Secretary of State. So several charges, 7 total. That's for the 2 guys that are accused of hurling homemade explosives at the home of the New York City mayor. At the same time, back here in our area, this is in Chester County, Tredyffrin Township. We know that there was a shooting earlier today. I believe there's a live press conference. Again, Tredyffrin Township. It was a woman. We're going to listen in.
Gravely injured from a gunshot wound. They did everything they could to render emergency aid to her and transported her to Paoli Hospital. Unfortunately, she died yesterday evening. We're not here today to talk too much about the investigation. We wanted to get information out to the community today. And there's a couple reasons for that, and we really want to emphasize 2 points. One, we've heard the community's concerns. We want to make sure everyone knows that there's no threat to the public going forward. We believe that this defendant acted by himself. We believe that we have actually arrested him for those crimes, and that we have him in custody, and he's at Chester County Prison currently. I also want to emphasize that we're not releasing the victim's name today. We're doing that out of respect for the family. They are grieving. They need some time to process this unspeakable tragedy that we have to detail here today. And so I'd ask that going forward, that you also respect their privacy and let them tell their story when they are ready to tell it. But for now, I think what we can do is express our deepest condolences. This was a random act of violence in our community, and it's just been an unspeakable tragedy that our detectives worked around the clock in order to solve. And it's a tribute to law enforcement officers at the Tredyffrin Easttown Police Department, or the Tredyffrin Police Department, I'm sorry, and the Chester County detectives, some of whom are in the back here today. We worked tremendously hard, and we're just so distraught for this family right now. So with that, I just want to introduce Superintendent Mike Beatty to say a few words.
Thank you. On behalf of the Tredyffrin Township Police Department, our township, our community, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family, friends. We've heard so many great stories about our victim and the impact on the community. I can assure you that no stone was left unturned as we worked to develop this case. Our collaboration with the District Attorney's Office, our detectives, our officers, and the neighboring jurisdictions really shows the dedication that the officers have to doing what's right for the victims of the senseless crime. So once again, our hearts and prayers go out to the family, and if the public could still give them the time, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
So with that, I'll take some brief questions, understanding we're putting out limited information at this time.
I know early in the investigation you said that it was a random attack, but any more information on a possible motive?
Just want to emphasize, right, that there's no connection that we can tell between the victim and the defendant. And so that's all we're going to say at this time. It's just an unspeakable, it's just a terrible tragedy.
What other indications are there that this was a random act of violence?
That's what we've developed by pulling together video that we've seen from, and we've gotten from the community, and I want to thank the community in particular for that. A lot of the videos that we've been able to piece together and a lot of the leads have given us a better picture of what happened that night. But for right now, again, I just want to emphasize that the community is safe. The community has been safe, and we've had Mr. Wan in custody for about a day now.
Was the shooting before or after the automobile accident?
Before. That's what we believe.
So we think that she got shot first and then she crashed her car?
Yes.
And what did she crash into?
Pole.
And do you have any idea where the suspect was at that time? Was he on the side of the road at the...
We're not, like I said, we're not going to get into those details right now, and some of that we're still working on in some ways. So again, we just want to emphasize that because we got so much of this video in so quickly, we were able to put this case together, and it's been a tribute to everyone's partnership here.
And I know you all have been extremely busy, but I've been speaking to neighbors that have just been on edge all day yesterday. Is there a reason why yesterday you didn't alert people that, you know, there at least was a suspect in custody?
Because we're doing an investigation.
You mentioned, well, I was actually the police chief who mentioned neighboring jurisdictions. What help did they provide in this investigation?
Anytime we have an investigation like this, we're trying to get as much information about everything that we can, and a lot of neighboring jurisdictions provided some information for us. But again, that's the team effort that we see in Chester County law enforcement, and that's why we're able to make such progress on this case so quickly.
And we're also hearing that the suspect may have been unhoused and maybe had some substance or mental health issues. Can you give us any more information about that?
Right now, not at this time. That's part of our investigation, is to find out exactly what was going on. And so in the coming days, we might have more information, but right now we're still in the investigation phase in many ways. We don't stop just when we've achieved an arrest, and that's what we're looking into.
Last question. You mentioned related charges. What are those other charges?
I can get you that list, but they're firearms related charges and things like that.
Is he known to police?
Again, we're not going to get into that today. We're here to really just emphasize, right, that the community is safe, that we have the defendant in custody, and that we're going to proceed through the legal system once right away. But we want to give the family space to make sure that they grieve and they make all the notifications to everyone that they want. So I'm sorry that we have limited information in that regard, but we really want to respect this process. This is just this has been a terrible 24 hours in Chester County. It really has. So thank you.
So there you see it. That's the Tradition Township Police Department talking about what happened yesterday. A couple of the highlights. Number one, no threat to the public. They believe the actor acted alone. They do have the person they think is responsible in custody. And importantly, they do not think there is any connection between the victim and the defendant in this case. And they said they were able to solve this case rapidly because they did receive a lot of video from the community. It happened late last night, Contention Lane, Old State Road in Tradition Township, Pennsylvania. Again, Chester County. This is the area right here. They believe that she was shot and then she crashed a car into a pole. So again, it's just an unbelievable tragedy. The other thing that they're talking about, they are not going to release the victim's name because the family needs to make some arrangements. The family is trying to notify more people within her community. She's been described as someone who had a big impact on the community in Chester County, and I'm sure in the days and weeks to come, we're going to learn more about her. So again, late last night, a woman was shot in Tradition Township. We now know there's no threat to the public. The authorities believe this guy acted on himself. He's also in custody, and they said they were able to get this guy in part because the community gave them so many tips, so much information, so much video. We're going to take a quick break. 2 minutes. We have a lot going on today. We're happy you're here. Come on back in 2 minutes. There we go. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. We're going to be with you until 2 today. You just heard them talking about this, a very busy day in Chester County over the past 24 hours. It began here with a Pennsylvania State Trooper. Corporal Tim O'Connor has passed away. He was taken to Paoli Hospital. We just heard that a woman that was shot was taken to Paoli Hospital. Unfortunately, tragically, sadly, both of those people passed away. So right here, the image you're seeing, Pennsylvania State Trooper Corporal Tim O'Connor. This was apparently, it happened at a traffic stop. He pulled someone over, and what we're being told from our law enforcement partners is he was shot by that person, and then the person who was accused of shooting him, basically the description is he walked a couple of feet away and then shot himself. We do know that the governor was in the hospital when this happened. That it basically was with Corporal O'Connor's wife, Casey, and his parents, Maureen and Tim. The governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, lives in this general area, and certainly the state police are under his command. So again, this is an image of Corporal Timothy O'Connor Jr. Again, Maureen and Tim were in the hospital when every effort was made to save his life. And again, that happened in Paoli Hospital in Chester County. We also know there was an FBI raid up in Bucks County. And then we just heard about this in Tredyffrin Township late last night. A woman was shot. She too was taken to Paoli Hospital. We had some video of the scene of where that happened. And basically the authorities in Chester County said, you know what, there has been arrest made. She has passed away. That happened in Tredyffrin. And so, you know, just all hearts there in Chester County. Certainly the men and women who work inside Paoli Hospital have had one heck of an evening trying to save many, many people, at least these two that we actively know about. At the same point, this is something we've been talking about, your money, stocks. Since the markets opened, and they happen on good days, so if you ever want to watch it, you can see it as it happens. This is a live picture of the New York Stock Exchange. Stocks have been tumbling, in part because crude prices have surged past the 100 a barrel mark. So this means that investors are worried about a prolonged Middle East conflict. We know that many of the countries involved in this are involved in the oil supply for the entire world. So the Dow Jones obviously has fallen, the S&P is down, and remember, this came after already some highs on Sunday, 25% up, but $119 a barrel. We have not seen that since 2022. This was something that analysts were predicting. The president mentioned it himself, that as the conflict in Iran continued, the prices of crude oil would go up. And it's up for a lot of reasons, right? It's up because some of the production of this is down like 70% in places like Iraq and Kuwait. We also know that there is the Strait of Hormuz, which is where a lot of this crude oil passes through. We do know that right now that's impacted. The president has said a couple of things. The G7, the top economies, their ministers from there are expected to meet today, and they're going to talk about a couple of different things, including a joint release of petroleum from the International Energy Agency reserves. The U.S., two other countries, they like this idea. It came after the president said that all of this, the high costs for everything, was, quote, according to him, a very small price to pay for security. So we're going to be looking at the markets, looking at your money, looking at your investments now until this conflict ends. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. We'll talk about weather. We're going to talk about the World Baseball Classic and much more happening in and around our area. So just, you know, we listen to you guys as you watch this, and we know that the trooper was shot on Sunday. We know the woman was shot in Tredyffrin Township on Saturday. Several of you have just texted me and said, we know this woman, and this woman was an amazing human being. We did hear that in the press conference as the authorities in Chester County said they're not releasing her name because the family wants to make arrangements and notify people who may or may not be in this area. But one text in particular, basically, she was the most amazing human being. This is all so unfathomable. They said they don't want to share much more than that, but they want people to know that we really have lost an amazing human being. Similarly, that's what we're hearing about the corporal, the state police corporal that we lost. So again, she was shot, passed away on Saturday, and then the trooper on Sunday. So we are so sad that both of these individuals lost their lives. We're so happy that you watch us and you share your observations with us. So we're going to move on in a different way. Speaking of being happy, a lot of people are really happy with the weather. It's looking beautiful here. JP, where is that? Atlantic City. If you work from home, if you own a shore home, you should be there. You should be right there with your little laptop because the weather's only going to get better. It's a cool window that we have right here in March because, you know, it can be snowing. I hate to say that. The other thing that a lot of people are watching right here on Fox 29 is the World Baseball Classic. We have Sarah Alegre. She is in Houston. USA takes on Mexico tonight. Oh, she's got the hat. Yay, we asked for a hat. Looking good. How are you?
Well, Jen, you told me you're like, okay, where is your gear? And I was so upset because I had bought it, but I had not yet sported it. I will say though, I made a mistake. I bought this team, I'm gonna hold it up like that. I bought this Team USA jersey, but I unfortunately got the youth size and I am not a youth medium, unfortunately. But so if you know anyone, I will ship this to you. Such a cute shirt, but I will just be sporting it like this while wearing my cute World Baseball Classic hat, repping the merch. It's Jen, this has been so exciting to cover. So many talented athletes out there. And then, I mean, this Mexico-USA game tonight, both crowds just being here throughout the weekend, covering their games on Friday, watching this just as a fan, Saturday, Sunday, and going into Monday. It's been really cool to see what crowd each team brings. Mexico, an incredible crowd, so electric and exciting. Of course, same story with Team USA. It's so fun to see the getup that people arrive to the World Baseball Classic, kind of what they're wearing. It just goes to show you the excitement here, and this is going to be the greatest matchup in the pool here in Houston. And it's a World Baseball Classic rivalry too, and they are doing incredible. Both teams undefeated, beating Great Britain, Brazil as well. And so it's going to be exciting to see what goes down tonight. I know without a doubt, though, we're going to see a lot of talent on that diamond.
From chants in the stands to decked out gear, the rivalry is just as loud off the field as it is on it.
Mexico! Mexico! Mexico!
Both Team USA and Mexico enter tonight's matchup undefeated so far, and some fans traveled a long way to see it in person.
We've been watching a lot of USA highlights on TV, so we decided to make a father-son trip out here to Houston.
While Team USA is a baseball powerhouse, Mexico has given the Stars and Stripes some trouble.
The U.S. has had their hands full with them in this tournament the last couple of installments of it. I certainly haven't forgotten about it.
Mexico beat the U.S. 3 times in the last 4 World Baseball Classics, including an 11-5 win in Phoenix 3 years ago.
Got the right guy on the mound in Paul Skeens, stacked bullpen, awesome lineup, and we'll get after it.
But tonight, both teams are bringing their top stars in signatures. And with a die-hard fan base on both sides, no matter who you're rooting for, this matchup feels like a home game.
We're definitely looking forward to that U.S.-Mexico game because they got a fantastic team over there.
Yeah, and a lot at stake. I mean, whoever wins tonight's match, likely to go ahead booking that flight to Miami for the quarterfinals, so we shall see. But without a doubt, going to be an incredible game to watch. We're going to see a whole lot of fans. I mean, this is completely sold out. It's been that way for months, and I would expect that just looking at both crowds throughout the weekend and the energy they bring and the people they bring. I can't wait to see it in person, Jen.
Okay, and so we're going to talk to you like real deal, like we do on this. You're a Dodger fan, right?
Yes, I am.
All right, but did you see Kyle's
I'm scared.
Schwarbaum? Did you see our Schwarbaum?
I saw Kyle Schwarber, and I will say, heck of a guy, heck of an athlete. I mean, I'm in awe. And I will say, I will give you, Philly fans some credit. The dude's incredible. I'm more so like looking at the classic ball players. Like, I love my Clayton Kershaw. Just great to have him there. Coming out of retirement for that, not doing a whole lot, but it's just great to see him on the field. For me, as a young little T-ball Sarah and baseball Sarah fan growing up, that's very cool. But Kyle Schwarber, heck of a ball player, I will say. So yes, you Philly fans, thank you for your contribution, really helping out Team USA. And I'm a Team USA fan, Jen.
Okay, yes,
all right, I'm a
we
Team
can meet
USA
there.
fan.
That's
so
fine.
this is where we unite.
Yes,
Yes.
we can get it done. We can.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you'll find a little someone that wants that shirt. It'll be amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jen.
Okay.
Always fun.
Yeah, you too. All right. So again, there's a lot happening. We've been talking about it. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to come right back. There's a news conference scheduled in the explosive story with the New York City's mayor's house. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Welcome back in, everybody. That is a live picture of New York City. And one of the reasons why we're showing you that is that charges have been levied in the attack that happened during a protest outside of the New York City's mayor's mansion. So again, there was a protest that many people knew about that happened over the weekend. And then what happened was there was a counter protest where two men are accused of bringing homemade explosives there to basically act as terrorists. Again, this is the prosecutor's words, against the protest. So again, we now know that charges have been levied. Both of the men that have been charged are from Bucks County. Emir Balat and Ibrahim Kayuni are awaiting arraignment. The charges: attempting to provide material support to a terrorist organization and using a weapon of mass destruction. Homemade weapons are a part of this. They did not go off, so luckily no one was hurt in this. Apparently, Kayumi blurted out as he was being arrested on Saturday that ISIS was the reason for his conduct. The complaint says that Bailat, 18 years old, later tells authorities that he had pledged allegiance to the extremist group. Kayumi, who is 19 years old, said that he was affiliated with the Islamic State. So both of them saying, pledging their allegiance to terrorist organizations. Officers asked Bailat whether he was aiming to accomplish something akin to the bombing of the Boston Marathon in 2013. You remember this, 2 pressure cooker bombs exploded near the finishing line, killing 3 people, wounding hundreds? The answer, according to authorities, no, he says, even bigger. The men's attorneys are expected to be at court at any minute. The suspects' families, they haven't been reachable from the Associated Press. Both of them have addresses in Pennsylvania. Bailat carries a Turkish government identification card along with his Pennsylvania driver's license. That's according to what's inside the complaint. The other thing, basically an automated license plate reader captured the pair entering New York City from New Jersey less than an hour before this attack. The vehicle apparently was registered to one of Bailat's relatives. That vehicle discovered Sunday a few blocks away from where they were arrested. And then a search of that car, so follow me here, a search of that car turned up what's being called a hobby fuse, a metal can, along with a written list of chemical ingredients and components that could be used to build explosives. I'm reading all of this to you guys from the complaint. Again, charges have now been levied. Homemade devices, they did not explode, but they certainly were hurled Saturday during these very, very active counter-protests. It was a counter-protest against an anti-Islamic demonstration being led by Jake Long. If you don't know who that is, he's a far-right activist, critic of the New York mayor. And basically, he's a critic of the idea of the fact that we have the first Muslim to hold office in New York City. In terms of the Mandami family, the mayor and his wife were not at the house, and familiarly we call it Gracie Mansion. They did speak outside of the residence this morning. I'm sure we're going to be hearing. And the mayor was the one who basically said the information he got was that these 2 gentlemen traveled from Pennsylvania and attempted to bring violence to New York City. The police commissioner in New York City saying she doesn't think there's any indication that the men's alleged activities are connected to what's happening in Iran, in the Middle East. She declined to say more about why authorities believe the suspects were motivated by these different groups. I believe she'll probably talk about that at 2 o'clock. We do know at 2 p.m. there is a press conference that is scheduled where we're going to be hearing about all of this. So again, what we're hearing is that charges have been levied against the 2 gentlemen that are from Pennsylvania but have now been charged in this. It was a completely chaotic scene, as you can only imagine. It was chaotic during, before, and after those devices were thrown. And there was another person who was arrested from Philadelphia, Ian McGinnis, 21 years old, and he was arrested after being accused of pepper spraying counter-protesters. So it sounds like it was nothing short of chaos up there in New York City, and many of the actors who are accused in this are from our area. A lot is happening at this hour. So here's what we're going to do. I just wanted to bring you up to date. Again, now we're waiting for a press conference that'll happen in the next couple of minutes. While we wait for that, we're going to take a quick break. This conflict in the Middle East is affecting a lot of people. It's affecting your money. It's affecting travel. It is affecting so many things. So we're going to have a wide-ranging interview about what you need to know in the next days and weeks. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. We've been talking about the conflict in the Middle East, and we've been talking about oil and prices and all kinds of things that are happening. At the same time, oil prices are affecting spring break travel plans. We also know there's a partial government shutdown, and that is creating really long TSA lines. So if we need someone to talk about everything and anything, we got Janet Tidwell from AAA. Good afternoon to you. We look, when we need help, you're the one that we call. So thank you for saying yes.
Hey, I appreciate it, Jen.
All right,
Good to be with you.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple different things. So first of all, it's interesting, you know, in my community, people are starting to look at colleges, and spring break's a good time to do it. North Carolina, South Carolina sounds great. If you want to fly, not so good. The prices have like tripled for airfare. You're not surprised, I assume.
No, we're not surprised. And Jen, I'm in the same circle, those college visits and getting those college students home or to their spring break destination. Those who have already locked in air travel for spring break, they're in a good spot. But we will start to see the price of jet fuel is also going to be impacted the same way gas prices are impacted. So if you're looking for last minute spring break travel, or if you're looking to get a jump start on, you know, what you're doing this summer or flying your college kids home at the end of a semester, those are the airline tickets that will likely be impacted as airlines deal with the increase in jet fuel.
Yeah, it was interesting. One of my friends is trying to join us on a trip, and she's like, what was the number you got? And I gave her the number, and she's like, it's, you know, like I said, I said, babe, you know, there is a conflict happening. If you're going to fly, if you've already locked in your plans, one of the things you really need to plan for are longer TSA lines. We've heard about, I think it was in Las Vegas, the lines were out the block. Are we seeing that, do you know, in Philadelphia? And what's your guidance there?
You know, I can't speak to whether we're seeing that in Philadelphia. I haven't seen it or heard of it, but AAA's guidance is always more information is power, and there's power in having that knowledge. So if air travel is in your future, please download all the apps you could possibly need. Your airline app, your airport app, FlightAware is an excellent app. So you understand not just departures and arrivals, but what are waits looking like at airports? Follow the airports on social media. That's how you're getting this information. And yes, there will be delays. Always better to get there early and have to kill time at your gate as opposed to being stuck in those lines and fear that you're going to miss your flight.
Yeah, I've been there. I've totally been there. All right, so last week when we talked, we were talking about how gas prices are probably going to go up. I was with my relatively new driver daughter, and I said, hey, do you want to fill up? You know, she had a half a tank. And she goes, Mom, I'm not going to go there. That's 40 cents more than where it is over there. When you have a teenager that knows where the inexpensive gas is and is not, you know that this is really in the forefront, and it's only going to get worse. We now know crude prices are up as high as they've been in 14 years, and there's no stopping it, right?
There really is no way to tell how long this is going to last or how high it could possibly go. Kudos to you, Mom, for teaching your driving age daughter to look at the price of gas. But we're looking at 50 cents per gallon more today than we were sitting at this time last week. Same as oil, no telling how high or for how long. For those who may not realize, 50 to 60% of a gallon of gas is made up of crude oil. So when we see crude oil prices soar, gas prices are following suit for sure.
I should say I didn't teach her that, but she does have to pay for gas. So don't be cool. She's fine. It's gonna be fine.
That is a teaching moment.
So here's my question. You know, you live in this community, you travel around the community. When I hear 50 cents more in 1 week, I'm blown away, right? Do you think that we're now going to change the way we're doing things this month, next month? Meaning, are my friends going to be walking to my house for a happy hour? Are we like not going to be traveling to grandma's for Easter? What is your short and long-term prediction of how this is going to impact travel?
You know, there are a number of ways that you can go. One, psychologically, AAA has looked at what impacts a person in terms of when they curb their driving. Most drivers will tell you when you reach the dollar marks, like when we reached $3 per gallon, people are like, oh, I'm noticing. If we are to reach $4 per gallon, that's another trigger for drivers to say, wow, I should probably start doing something to reduce my gasoline costs. And there are things that you can do to get the most out of a tank of gas. They are super simple, routine maintenance. If you are due for, the oil and filter change, get that done. Make sure you check your tires, make sure they're properly inflated. Make sure you clean out the car. There's no excuse now. The weather is beautiful today. Get any extra weight out of your car, because the heavier the vehicle is, the more gas it takes to move it. So those types of things, consolidating errands, carpooling, those kinds of things will help you stretch a tank of gas as best you can.
I have to get the junk out of my car?
Yeah, you do. You do. Now's the time.
But you don't understand. We're in ski season, lacrosse season, tennis season, walk around the block season, rainy boot season. There's a lot there. I
hear you. The baseball, we're in baseball season too. The baseball bats, all of those kinds of things. The heavier your car is, the more gas it takes to move it.
All right. Thank you so much for checking in. I can't believe it's 50 cents. I hope it doesn't do it again next week. We appreciate your help.
Anytime, Jen. Take care.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. We got to have some good news coming our way. I think we do with Chris O'Connell. Welcome back in, everybody. That is a live picture of the Statue of Liberty. I know we've been talking a lot about New York City, but this is going to be a different type of story. Chris O'Connell traveled up there at about 6 o'clock in the morning to speak with Matt Freese. So he is going to play for the U.S. during the World Cup. He plays for New York City FC now. That's why you're in New York?
That's right, Jen. Yeah, we made the trek up the New Jersey Turnpike to get a one-on-one exclusive interview with Matt Freese. He is a Delco mainliner went to Episcopal Academy, also played through the Philadelphia Union system as a goaltender, and then was traded up here to New York a couple of years ago, and he has become one of the most prolific goaltenders in the MLS and the United States, which means that basically hasn't been confirmed yet, but he's going to get a spot on the U.S. men's team playing in the FIFA World Cup coming up this summer. So right now he plays, like all these guys play for other teams. He plays for New York City FC. He actually beat the Philadelphia Union earlier this season. But I got a chance to talk to him about playing in the World Cup on his home turf, and you know, a lot of Philly stuff, too. Again, he grew up in Wayne, Villanova area, and still has Philly roots. Loves New York. He says this is his adopted home, but loves Philly, still likes the cheesesteaks, the whole 9 yards, big Eagles fan. But come June, there's the very good possibility he'll be the starting goaltender for the U.S. men's national team in Los Angeles when they play Paraguay in June. And it is like, it's not even a dream come true for him, because when he was the kid, there was no World Cup here. There was no plans to have a World Cup here. Would love to play in the World Cup, but to play on his home turf and a starting goaltender, a dream come true for Matt Freese. And his mom back home cheering for him. His dad passed away a few years ago, but a lot of his family friends are thrilled for him. The challenge now is a few friendly matches between now and then continuing, so he makes that roster spot, and hopefully he'll make the starting goalkeeper for the U.S. men's team. So real exciting, great interview, great Philly kid. He also went to Harvard. This kid's got it all. The one thing he does not like, and I've never heard this from an athlete anywhere, Jen, he doesn't like technology. He doesn't like the phone. Uses the phone as little as possible. He reads books. He watches Netflix, but he hates the phone. And for a goalie, you got to know, goalies are a little different.
Yes.
Let's just say that. A little different mentality. And he needs to wants to lock in. He said it's the perfect thing for being a goalie is no technology.
That's really interesting. I mean, I guess that's how he got to Harvard, right? Like, I mean, come on. You read books, go to Harvard. It's
You
kind
would
of
think.
a thing. And then, you know, a lot of people early on bought tickets to Los Angeles thinking, unfortunately, that there's no way they're going to make it to the area where you are, which is where the finals are going to be, right? So a lot of people who want to see the U.S. team, they're saying they have to go to Los Angeles because they don't think they'll, I hate to say it, but they don't think they're going to get to like the end, right? So I'm assuming his family, Delco Proud's going to go out to Los Angeles to see it?
Yeah, plans are out to Los Angeles for game one, possibly game two in Seattle, but the U.S. team has to make it out of the group round, and then they will move on. I don't think there's a chance he comes here to Philly. He didn't even know that. But if they didn't make it to the final round up here, right up the road here, I mean, literally a few minutes away from here, that would be something else for Matt Freese.
All right, is he available for counseling for my teenagers to let them, I know he's busy, but I would like him to share his anti-technology sentiments. Is he available to get that done?
I asked him about that. He says, it's, you know, it is. It was his parents, Jen. We failed. We failed our kids. It was his parents that didn't let him have the technology, put books in front of him instead of a phone.
All right, well, you know what? It's not the first time someone's going to tell me I failed. Won't be the last time. I'm glad you got a chance to talk to him. And
Right there with you.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. I know that you have a busy travel day, so this was fun. We needed this today. There's been a lot of, awful stories, so thank you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. We'll talk about weather. We'll get happy, but we're also going to talk about a press conference in just a few minutes. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is a live camera. So one of the big box is inside a room where a press conference is going to happen. Outside is, wait for it, outside. And all of this is all about the New York City protest and then counter protest and explosives that were brought to the mayor's residence over the weekend. As you probably know, if you've been here with us since noon, there are 3 different individuals that have been charged now, all 3 of them from Pennsylvania, 2 from Bucks County, 1 from the city of Philadelphia. So we're basically waiting for this press conference. As we watch for this, I do want everyone to know how chaotic this got. It was very, very chaotic. Mayor Mondami and his wife were not at Gracie Mansion. That's the name that they call the mayor's home up there in New York City. Is there someone talking? I don't know if that gentleman is about to speak. Let's bring up his audio just to listen in.
Thank you, everybody. If I could just remind everybody, please, to keep your cell phones on silent, and for the question and answer portion, raise your hand. Thank you.
So again, we've got 2 cameras, both of them live, both of them in New York City, and all of this revolves around the charges that have now been filed, levied against 2 men who are accused of bringing homemade explosives to a protest outside New York City's mayoral mansion. And they have said, they've told authorities, according to the complaint, that they were inspired by the Islamic State extremist group ISIS to do this. One gentleman 18 years old, the other gentleman 19 years old, as they were being arrested on Saturday, one of them, Ibrahim Qayyumi, said that ISIS was the reason for his conduct. Now, the complaint says that Emir Balat, who's 18 years old, said that he had pledged allegiance to the extremist group, Qayyumi saying that he was affiliated with the Islamic State group. And again, you're watching people kind of mull around there. And this was something that was really staggering to read, to hear, to understand. Officers in New York City asked Balat whether he was aiming to accomplish something like the bombing of the Boston Marathon. You remember that 2 pressure cooker bombs exploded near the finish line where there was a lot of people. 3 people died there, hundreds were wounded, some lost limbs, and the response from Balat, quote, no comma, even bigger. So again, these 3 men, the 2 we're talking about in particular from Bucks County, are accused of going to a protest and throwing homemade devices into the chaos. Everyone that was there describes it as a very chaotic scene. So again, I'm just trying to give you a little bit of what you're about to see right here. By the way, Anthony Gargano, we're not going to have him today. We're going to listen in real quick. I think he's instructing reporters.
So do not ask a question without a mic in front of you. Does everyone understand? Yes? No? So, yes? Yeah. Yes.
So again, we're waiting for a press conference to begin. 2 men from Bucks County are accused of throwing homemade explosives into a protest outside the New York City mayor's residence. We know that those explosives did not go off. Men's attorney, both of these guys' attorneys were at court today, and reporters that are working with the Associated Press and some of our broadcast partners have tried to reach out to the suspects' families, and they haven't been able to do either one of those. This is all related to the FBI raids in Bucks County that we had seen overnight. So again, both of these individuals, you see it right here, this is video. We got the word that the FBI was raiding homes in Bucks County, 2 different residences, one Newtown, Bucks County, the other Langhorne. And, you know, we went there. We're trying to figure out what's going on. Interestingly, the vehicle, basically how this all unfolded was an automated license plate reader captured the pair entering New York City from New Jersey less than an hour before the attack. You see that there. I'm not sure what that is. Again, I think that is video potentially of them being arrested. Again, that's the home, that's the FBI raid, Bucks County. We're just trying to give you a big picture of what's happening. Again, we're waiting on this press conference. It's going to happen any minute. 2 guys from Bucks County formally charged. A man from Philadelphia also charged with using pepper spray. So pepper spray is one charge, and the explosives, several charges in both those cases. We are going to toss to it so that you have it. So again, no Anthony Gargano, and of course, we are going to continue to cover